The substitute teacher smiled at us and said, "Your real teacher isn't coming back." We all laughed because we thought she was joking. Mrs. Delano had been our biology teacher for 3 years, and she never missed a day. But this substitute just stood there at the front of the room with this weird smile that didn't reach her eyes. She was maybe 40, wearing a long gray cardigan, and she had already written her name on the board. Ms. Vance. She didn't laugh with us. She just waited until we stopped, then repeated it. "Your teacher is gone. I'm here now." Something about the way she said it made my stomach turn. My buddy Keegan leaned over and whispered that this lady was creepy. I nodded but didn't say anything. I just watched her walk to Mrs. Delano's desk and start opening drawers like she owned the place. She pulled out Mrs. Delano's coffee mug, her framed photo of her kids, her little succulent plant, and dropped them one by one into the trash can. Nobody said anything. We just sat there, frozen like idiots. She started teaching like nothing happened, but the lesson made no sense. She kept talking about cellular decay, how bodies break down, how decomposition starts within minutes of death. This wasn't our curriculum. We were supposed to be learning about photosynthesis. Brianna raised her hand and asked if this would be on the test. Ms. Vance stared at her for a long moment and said, "Everything I teach you will be useful very soon." The room got so quiet I could hear the clock ticking. I looked around and noticed Amara was texting under her desk. I hoped she was getting help because something was seriously wrong here. Ms. Vance walked between the rows while she talked, and when she passed Amara, she didn't even look down. She just plucked the phone out of her hands and dropped it into her cardigan pocket. No phones in my class. Amara started to protest, but Ms. Vance kept walking like she hadn't heard. Then she stopped at the window and stared outside for a full minute without speaking. I could feel my palms sweating. She turned back to us and said she had a confession to make. She wasn't actually a substitute teacher. My heart started pounding hard against my ribs. She said she used to be a nurse at the hospital 3 miles from here. She said Mrs. Delano's husband was admitted there last month for chest pains. Routine tests showed something else entirely. Photographs on his phone that should have never existed. Photographs of children, his own students from the elementary school where he worked. Ms. Vance said she saw everything when she was backing up his phone for hospital records. She reported it immediately, but nothing happened. Nobody believed her. The hospital fired her for violating patient privacy. Mrs. Delano's husband kept teaching, kept coaching Little League, kept volunteering at the community center. Ms. Vance's voice cracked when she said she watched him pick up kids from school every single day for 6 months, knowing what was on his phone. I looked at Keegan. His face was completely white. She reached into her bag and pulled out a thick folder. She walked to each desk and handed every student a printed photograph, not the bad ones. These were screenshots of text messages between her and hospital administration, police reports marked insufficient evidence, emails from Mrs. Delano threatening to sue her for defamation. She showed us the paper trail of a system that protected a predator because his wife was beloved and his family donated to the school board. I looked at my paper. It was an email from our school principal saying that allegations against respected community members should be handled with discretion. That meant buried. That meant ignored. Brianna started crying quietly. Ms. Vance said she wasn't here to hurt us. She was here because nobody would listen to an adult, but maybe they would listen to 25 students holding evidence that couldn't be denied. She asked if we understood what she was asking us to do. Amara stood up first. She said her little brother went to the elementary school where Mrs. Delano's husband taught. She said she wanted to help. Then Keegan stood up next to me. Then Brianna wiping her tears. Then I stood up. Then everyone else followed. We took those papers home. We showed our parents. Our parents showed lawyers. Lawyers showed journalists. Within 2 weeks, Mrs. Delano's husband was arrested with enough evidence to put him away for a very long time. The hospital was sued. The school board was investigated. 3 administrators resigned. Mrs. Delano never came back to our school, and we never saw Ms. Vance again after that day. Nobody knew her real name or how to find her. She just vanished like she'd never existed. But I think about her all the time. I think about how she lost everything trying to do the right thing, and how she walked into a classroom full of teenagers and trusted us to finish what the adults refused to start. Mrs. Delano's husband was sentenced to 22 years, and every single one of us testified at the trial.